I mean, let's just take a step back here, because with Facebook acquisitions, you know, we heard WhatsApp, like, okay, that makes sense. We get this, and you know, then there was Instagram. They had this big user base, and then you had this, you know, virtual reality headset, and these people, and everyone's fascinated by it. And we didn't really think Facebook. Did you ever envision that this could happen?
In the beginning, when we started the company, definitely not. I mean, we had set out that we would just do this on our own way. And really, the very beginning, we just thought this would be a fun project to work on. So we launched this thing on Kickstarter, and we didn't have any idea how big it would get or where we'd go with it. But as we went along and we started to understand virtual reality more, for many of us, we started working on VR 21 months ago. And we had imagined it for so long, but we weren't really working on it, so we weren't studying it. We didn't know what was going to work in VR versus not. And as we started to figure out what was going to work in virtual reality, it started to make a lot of sense that the communication side of VR was going to be very, very popular and a very big part of a future virtual reality platform.
Take me to that.
Through the steps.
This happened really quickly, right? I mean, this was like, he called you in a week, and a week later, you guys had sold for $2 billion. So take me kind of behind the scenes there.
So I got introduced to Mark around the end of the year, and we really got connected around beginning of February. Became friends and just started talking about what we were doing with Oculus and what our vision was. It kind of pushing him to get in a headset at some point and see the demo, because to believe it, you really need to see it. So we finally got him to come down and see it, and it has this effect on people. I think John Carmack says you kind of get religion on contact when you try Oculus, especially the consumer prototype. So he tries it on, he takes it off, and his first thing is, so that was probably one of the coolest things I've ever seen in my life, and maybe ever will see. How can I help? I'd really like to just help you guys.
At that point, did you say $2 billion?
Well.
Or did you say 3 or 1, and it just kind of...
We weren't talking numbers at that time.
Okay.
We were starting to say, at that point, I think I said, well, I don't know if a Facebook app in VR is really going to be that popular, like a floating window. And, and he's like, that's not what I'm talking about. You know, we would like to help you. What other big problems you have? And that's where we dug into Oculus. We need to create an ecosystem, and we need to support the ecosystem with all kinds of infrastructure around profiles and app stores and all those things. There's a lot to build out for a platform like this. And he's like, well, I think we could help with that. You know, we have 1.2 billion active users. Okay, that's pretty good. You know, with users around the world and in all countries. So that was a check on kind of supporting us on platform. And then we started to dive into really, now that we've been working on VR for the last 20 months or so, and we're starting to get to know not just the content, but also what it's going to take on the hardware side. It became very relevant and apparent to us that creating a VR device off of cell phone parts, which is our claim to fame, wasn't going to be the long-term strategy. And even near-term, we were going to be able to deliver a much better product if we made custom hardware for almost everything. And that's very expensive to go and make custom screens and optics and cameras and sensors and every part of this device. If you're going to eventually get to, you know, sunglass VR, you want to make custom. And to do that requires enormous investment. And so we started to describe the investment that we probably needed to go raise, which is what I joked and said, way above my pay grade. I've never raised $500 million, $1 billion. And he said, well, I think we could help with that too. We tend to make a lot of money.